Γεια σας gamers, καλώς ήρθατε στο κανάλι, είμαι ο Mysta και σήμερα θα κάνουμε reaction για την επεξήγηση του Last of Us Part 1, το remake στην ουσία. Έβγαλε η Sony ένα βιντεάκι στο οποίο εξηγούν τι κάνανε, δηλαδή τι βελτιώσεις φτιάξανε και γιατί ας πούμε κάνουν το remake. Γιατί είχε πολύ γκρίνια γενικά στα social και γενικά στο ίντερνετ για το Last of Us 1, ότι δεν θέλουμε το remake, άλλοι γκρινιάζανε γιατί δεν χρειάζεται, δεν είναι 70 ευρώ και δεν κάνετε τίποτα καινούριο, είναι remaster, δεν είναι remake, και οπότε έβγαλε η Sony ένα βιντεάκι. Εγώ επειδή ήμουν άρρωστος δεν μπορούσα να το δω τώρα, οπότε θα το κάνω reaction μαζί σας τώρα αυτή τη στιγμή. Οπότε πάμε να δούμε τι ακριβώς είναι, δεν το έχω ξαναδεί, δεν έχω φάει spoil, να δούμε τι ακριβώς κάνανε rebuild. Το βίντεο λέγεται The Last of Us Part 1 Rebuild for PS5 και θα μας εξηγήσουν διάφορα πράγματα. Οπότε πάμε χωρίς άλλη καθυστέρηση να δούμε. Αν σας ενδιαφέρει τέτοιο content, κάντε subscribe, χτυπήστε το καμπανάκι και πάμε για 15.000 δυνατά. Έχουμε και κάτι νέο, παιδιά. Άνοιξα ταχυδρομική θερίδα. Μπορείτε να τη βρείτε εδώ ή στο description κάτω. Σε όλα μου τα βίντεο θα το βάζω από εδώ και πέρα και μπορείτε να μου στέλνετε fan mail και ό,τι γουστάρετε. Θα πηγαίνω εγώ μια φορά τον 1-2 μήνες όταν θα γεμίζει στην ουσία και θα τα ανοίγω εδώ πέρα σε βιντεάκι dedicated σε live. Θα το δούμε πώς θα το κάνουμε. Feel free, στείλτε ό,τι γουστάρετε, ζωγραφιές, οτιδήποτε θέλετε να τα δω, να τα διαβάσω, γράμματα. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Όπα, πολύ δυνατά ρε. Ηρέμησε. Με συγχωρείτε άμα βήχω.
More than 2 years ago, when we were finishing Last of Us Part 2, and we were working on those flashbacks and then that scene from the first game, we got excited with the idea of like, oh man, what if we made The Last of Us Part 1 to look as good, if not better, than what we have done with Last of Us Part 2, which we really pushed the boundaries of like what we could do from gameplay and a graphical standpoint, and felt like if we do that, we could actually come even closer to our original vision of what the first game would have been had we not been constrained by technology.
Συμφωνώ μαζί σου, αδερφέ μου.
The original creative vision of The Last of Us, I think in a lot of ways was larger than what the PlayStation 3 was capable of.
The tech of the PS5, it's like an open box of tools and goodies that we can play from and draw from. The 4K, HDR, improved haptics, 60 frames, help us to reimagine The Last of Us.
Είναι αρκετή αλλαγή ρε παιδιά. Εντάξει.
Opportunities to rebuild our characters at the highest fidelity. Not only are the characters more detailed, I mean down to the irises and the pupil depth. You know, you fall into the eyes of the characters.
Ναι ρε φίλε, ναι ρε φίλε.
Aside from that, the facial animation is just way more believable, like all the nuances, all the little subtle reactions, glances, glares, right? Like you get all
εκφράσεις τους προσώπους και αυτά.
Almost closer to sort of the original performances.
So no matter what you stick to me, like glue, like glue. Got it. Good.
We are able now to not only just have the highest fidelity characters in the cutscene, but also in gameplay. It's the same character, so now we can do these seamless transitions in and out. Every part of the game has benefited from seamless transitions and emotional scripting.
Pretty good, huh?
Our stories happen in gameplay, on a stick.
She knew my mom.
All this stuff is designed to keep you constantly
in this world.
Riley, come here. Now you got this, go.
One of the things that the PlayStation 5 is really enabling is that we're able to have a density of physics objects in a scene that we could never do before. Like this has always been the dream, is to have this number of bumpables, chippables, breakables, destructible objects in a scene. It just makes the world feel rich, makes it feel lived in. Materials can have the properties that you'd expect. The turret truck in Pittsburgh, when it's firing at you and it's just ripping apart the concrete and sending objects flying left and right.
Seeing things break, like there's fear, there's a real fear that it invokes.
And it's giving us a much more dynamic range of gameplay to play with.
Around him!
Our AI tech has just increased incredibly. What we were building the basis off of was The Last of Us Part 2's AI. And it has sophisticated systems for things like the fundamental knowledge model of how these NPCs perceive and understand what the player is much more sophisticated.
Now how the enemies are communicating with each other, how they're chasing you, how they're flanking you, how intense that fight feels, it's so much more rewarding coming out of it from the other side.
One of the other big AI improvements is the buddies. The buddies technology that we developed for The Last of Us Part 2 has this very sophisticated understanding of like, okay, this is where the enemies can see their exposure. We not only have exposure, we have future exposure. So buddies can know, okay, that enemy is walking forward and they're about to round this corner. So in 3 seconds, that corner is going to be exposed. So I'd better move now to avoid this enemy scene.
Αυτό με ενοχλούσε πολύ, ρε φίλε.
Complex decisions and maintain that feeling of stealth much more.
Αυτό που όταν έχεις companion κάποιον μαζί σου, ρε φίλε, και πάει μπροστά στον εχθρό και ο εχθρός δεν το βλέπει τάχα μου και τώρα το βελτιώσαν αυτό. Εντάξει, αυτό μου αρέσει. Μ' αρέσει γιατί μπορεί να σου φαίνεται πολύ σημαντικό, αλλά είναι στο ότι όταν βυθίζεσαι στο παιχνίδι, στον ρεαλισμό, ας πούμε, βοηθάει πάρα πολύ. Στο immersion, δεν ξέρω πώς να το πω στα ελληνικά. Στο immersion. Βοηθάει πάρα πολύ. Να βυθιστείς στο game, δηλαδή.
Another big enhancement to the gameplay is that we have this technology called motion matching. Motion matching is this technology that's basically using logic that tries to match the desired movement to a bucket of hundreds of animations. A mocapped actor has gone in and run this whole gauntlet of movements to get a really full set of all the different ways a person can move. And then it's basically every frame trying to find the best matching animation that fits the path of where the character is going to go. And this motion model just gives this really seamless sense of transition. The player's movement is just a lot cleaner. It's this really smooth organic movement through the space.
First, we just had to build that core experience. And then beyond that, we wanted to add several features that fans have been asking for. For example, we now have a permadeath mode. Along that, we've added a brand new speedrun mode, so players can time themselves. There's a whole community of gamers that just want to see how fast they can play through this game. Beyond that, we added a bunch more unlockables. So there's all these different outfits for Ellie and Joel that people can unlock. A model viewer mode, so people can really appreciate the details. We added award-winning accessibility features.
Every single accessibility option that we offer, that's a barrier removed for someone.
As she surveys the apartment, her eyes wander to Joel. She steps past the couch.
Βλέπεις για τυφλούς, για κοφούς, για όλα έχει.
To my knowledge, this is the first PlayStation game that has audio description built into the game, built into the cinematics.
Now it's nighttime. Joel stirs.
Ναι, βλέπεις, άμα έχεις και τέτοιο, δεν βλέπεις πολύ καλά.
We tried to push the frontier of accessibility on this game.
Environment.
So much of the identity of The Last of Us is the world.
Ναι.
We revamped completely the art direction. You know, everything from these expansive vistas that not only are they beautiful, but you feel the environments. You feel the environments in a much more visceral way. The rooftops overlooking the Capitol building, for example, like just the breath of fresh air when you go up there and you just like, you feel that sort of release in tension. And then, you know, to juxtapose that down in the tunnels in Wilds, and you get that dank, flooded tunnel feel, that humidity, you can actually feel it. All these environments are just completely reimagined.
Now we got our engine on the PS5, those haptics, the 3D audio, the fast loading. It really creates a much more immersive, and because of that, much more emotional experience.
One of the things I absolutely love with the 3D audio in The Last of Us Part 1 is being able to hear an enemy before they sneak up on you. And trying to do a stalker fight with the 3D audio is just so much fun. You're hearing them skitter around in a different room, and you're hearing them trying to get it behind you.
Έλα ρε.
Having that two-part reaction of like hearing, turning,
στο
seeing,
live ακουστικά όλοι, έτσι.
It just really heightens
θα
that
το
sense
παίξουμε
of
εννοείται
just
live.
being grounded. You are in this character. You are in this world. Now, with the PlayStation 5, the amount of control that developers have over the DualSense, it's really, really cool. All the guns in the game have a variable amount of resistance on the triggers when you aim them. The way it works with the bow is that at the very beginning, when they're starting to draw the bow, there's a little bit of resistance. And then as the bow gets tauter and tauter, the amount of resistance is increasing. And then when you release the bow, you're also getting that resistance going out of the trigger. When you are aiming and firing the shotgun, you're going to get a haptic vibration on the shot. And then what I think is one of the ways that the DualSense really advances things is you're going to get a haptic vibration on the pump of the shotgun. And what's much more sophisticated about that on the DualSense is that in effect has a little like speaker in it. And it's playing an audio file that comes through in the vibrations. And those two beats is what you're going to feel on the controller.
This looks like a good spot.
This also ties in to
the
generations. So if you're seeing Joel taking apart a gun or screwing something in or putting a new stock on a gun, that moment where he's like jamming that on, you're going to get that haptic feedback on that. We have, haptics all across the board, for all the moments you kind of expect, for clambering, jumping, landing, meleeing, getting meleeed, like all those kind of high intensity moments we have represented in the haptics.
Ooh.
What I personally absolutely adore is the way we can enhance the really like quiet, subtle moments of gameplay. So it's like when Joel goes in to pet the giraffe, getting that little light touch on the haptics as he's petting the giraffe. To me, that's the essence of The Last of Us. It's the high tension moments, it's the low tension moments, it's all of it feeling grounded. You're feeling immersed in this world. It's all about bringing you along with that story in as many ways as we can. And that's what the new technology on the PlayStation 5 is allowing.
Μάλιστα. Μουσική, έλα, παίξα και μουσική.
Everything you hoped for?
Α, όχι.
Jury's still out.
There's something special about that core experience of playing as Joel and Ellie on this journey. Then to take that experience and really honor it and keep the authenticity of it, but elevate it in every way possible, whether it's pipeline, whether it's art direction, whether it's technology, everything that allows us to make that experience better. Not different, extremely better. That's why, to me, this is the definitive way to play The Last of Us.
Ωραία, ωραία, ωραία. 2 Σεπτεμβρίου. Λοιπόν, τα είδαμε όλα, εξηγήσανε πράγματα, μας δείξανε πράγματα. Θέλω να μου πείτε στα σχόλια εσείς τη δικιά σας άποψη. Η δικιά μου άποψη είναι ότι, παιδιά, εγώ διαφωνώ, αλλά και συμφωνώ με τις γκρίνιες. Δηλαδή, διαφωνώ το ότι δεν έχουν γίνει αρκετές αλλαγές και λοιπά, μπλα μπλα μπλα, όλη αυτή η γκρίνια. Ας πούμε, εγώ είδα ότι κάνανε AI, φτιάξανε τα μοντέλα, τα αλλάξανε όλα, αλλάξανε γελί το περιβάλλον, εκφράσεις προσώπων, τα πάντα. Έχουν αλλάξει πάρα πολλά πράγματα. Και σε τέτοια παιχνίδια, ακόμα και η παραμικρή λεπτομέρεια έχει μεγάλη διαφορά. Κάνει διαφορά. Γιατί, ας πούμε, οι εκφράσεις του προσώπου, που όπως το εξήγησε, σου μεταφέρουν πιο έντονα το συναίσθημα του χαρακτήρα. Και πιστεύω είναι πολύ σημαντικό σε τέτοια παιχνίδια να υπάρχει αυτό το πράγμα. Και η τεχνολογία τώρα, το PS5 τους δίνει τη δυνατότητα να κάνουν πράγματα που δεν μπορούσαν να κάνουν τότε. Εκεί που διαφωνώ είναι ότι 70 ευρώ. Όχι, φίλε μου. 70 ευρώ για αυτά που κάνατε δεν πιστεύω να αξίζει ξανά full price ένα παιχνίδι που έχει γίνει ήδη remastered από το 3 στο 4 και τώρα να το ξαναχρεώσουμε τα ίδια λεφτά. Αν θέλετε 70 ευρώ με το Part 2 μαζί, ναι. Αν θέλεις, ξέρω εγώ, να το κάνεις 30-40 ευρώ, ναι. Αλλά 70 ευρώ εκεί πέρα είναι πάρα πολλά αυτά που ζητάνε. Χρειαζόταν remake? Όχι. Καλοδεχούμενα αυτά που κάνανε. Θα δείξει όταν θα παίξουμε. 70 ευρώ σε καμία περίπτωση. Ταπεινή μου άποψη εμένα γενικά είμαι φαν των remake, αλλά όταν γίνονται ωραία και καλά. Όχι όταν γίνονται μόνο και μόνο για να γίνονται. Έτσι. Οπότε 2 Σεπτεμβρίου θα στριμάρουμε εδώ σε αυτό το κανάλι εδώ στο YouTube, όπου στριμάρουμε και κάθε Σαββατοκύριακο εδώ πέρα. Οπότε να είστε εδώ το Σεπτέμβριο εδώ πέρα, να τα δούμε, να τα παίξουμε μαζί και αν δεν θέλετε να ξοδέψετε τα λεφτά, τουλάχιστον να τα ξοδέψω εγώ για εσάς για να το παίξουμε εδώ πέρα, να το δούμε μαζί. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ που είδατε όλο το βίντεο. Παιδιά, αν σας αρέσει τέτοιο content, κάντε subscribe, χτυπήστε καμπανάκι. Έρχονται πολύ ωραία πράγματα. Ήμουν άρρωστος τόσο καιρό, έχουμε να κάνουμε live καιρό, το ξέρω. Σιγά σιγά γίνομαι καλύτερα και θα επιστρέψουν και τα live και όλα. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Τα λέμε στο επόμενο Game On.